Hey everybody, it's Yasmin Boland here, and we are back after a little bit of a hiatus. We are back. Is this season 2? I'm not really sure. I think season 2 is going to start at the new moon. This is like season 1.5. I just wanted to talk to you this week because there is some quite good astrology around, even though we're in the waning cycle and it's a time to just release and let go. I wanted to just tell you what's going on in the skies this week. So it will probably be a shorter podcast, but I didn't want to let the quite nice astrology of this week just go by unnoticed. So the way I want to introduce the astrology this week is I want to talk to you about the importance of talking through tough subjects. So if you have something big going on in your life right now, whether it's in your personal life or your professional life, or it's to do with your partner or your friends or a friend or your kids or a kid or whatever, if there is a tricky subject that you need to talk through, it really is a very good time to talk it through. You know, sometimes there are just subjects which come up and, you might not want to discuss them, but this is a good week to do it, not least because we are in the waning cycle of the moon. We just had the full moon, so it's a time to let things fall away. And sometimes we just need that last conversation. We just need to have that final word on the matter, and then we can just go, you know what? Let's just let this go. And also because, sometimes it's easier not to have that tough conversation, but this week especially, it really is a good time to push through any dramas and upsets you're having and talk things through. Reason being, there's a couple of things going on. Firstly, at the very start of the week, we had a lovely Mercury-Neptune connection. Now, what that suggests is it's a good time to say things to people which are going to inspire them, which are going to make them feel uplifted, and also for you to seek out people who make you feel like that. But wait, there's more this week. This week really does have some lovely energies. On the 8th, which is Wednesday, we are getting a lovely connection between Venus and Uranus. So that's a time where things can really turn around financially or when it comes to friendships and romance, okay? So if you've been having a tough time financially or romantically or with a friendship, with any kind of relationship, have that conversation. Speak to the person you need to speak to. And if somebody gives you some good advice, think about listening to that advice, because it's a week when things can really turn around. Uranus is the planet of radical change and turnarounds. So when it's being activated, radical changes are more likely. Moreover, Venus is the planet of love and abundance, and she is harmoniously aligning with Uranus this week. So it really is a time where especially matters to do with the heart and the wallet can turn around. And also just to know, the full moon we just had triggered crazy old planet Uranus. So there might have been a few shocks, things that came out of the blue which you weren't expecting. This Venus-Uranus connection now on Wednesday really can be sort of a balm if you've had a bit of a shock and your heart needs a bit of mending, a bit of holding. If you just want things to be better again, then it can be a time when things start to feel like they're turning around. And then there's more. February 10, that's Friday, brings a Mercury-Pluto conjunction. Now, on the one hand, it can mean that you end up having an extremely intense conversation with someone, and it could be a little bit difficult. It could be a little bit too much. It could be someone's asking really searing, probing questions that you don't want to answer. It could be the conversation spirals a bit and becomes a little bit manipulative, or someone's trying to boss someone around. That's the negative, and I have to tell you the negative, just to be completely frank and in the interests of the integrity of astrology. that's kind of like if you're coming from a negative space. If you're coming from a more positive space, continuing on the theme that it's important to have those tough conversations this week, this could be a time where you really start to get to the bottom of whatever the issue is, because Mercury is the planet of communications. It's currently direct. It's not going backwards at the moment. Pluto is the planet of transformation and really it's the planet that gets to the heart of the matter. When you get this Mercury Pluto energy, nobody wants to be superficial, and you really can go quite deeply in conversations and end up pushing through the cycle. So Pluto's about life, death and rebirth, so it can be intense conversation leads to very, very intense feelings that you think you're never going to come through, and then you come out the other side and you feel much better. And then ending off the week in terms of the alignments for this week between now and next Monday, when I'll do another little season 1.5 podcast ahead of the new moon, we get Mercury moving into the sign of Aquarius. Now, this is meaningful as well in the context of what I've been saying, and another reason why I wanted to do this season 1.5 podcast today, because Mercury, planet of communications in Aquarius, the sign that's very aloof and detached, is actually maybe just what we need to cool off a bit after the intensity, especially if you had a very intense Mercury-Pluto conversation, to let go, to stop, mentally clinging on to someone or something. And also, as Mercury goes through the sign of Aquarius, it's joining Saturn and the Sun in there. So it's going to be a very interesting few weeks wherever you happen to have Aquarius in your chart. If you don't know where you have Aquarius in your chart, you can find out for free at moonmessages.com/free chart. That should take you to my chart page. We've had a bit of trouble with the page lately, and we redirected that link for a little while somewhere else. Hopefully by the time you hear this, it'll be pointing back to my chart, and then you can find out which house Aquarius rules on your chart. And once you know that, you can find out where you're going to be having a lot of lessons, but a lot of focus now and in the coming weeks. So I hope that helps you get the fact that as we move through the waning cycle of the moon, away from the full moon towards the new moon, that it's really time to use the good energies and have those difficult conversations if you know that you need to. Well, I said it was going to be a shorter podcast, and it is, so I will leave it there. Have a great week, and I hope to speak to you next week. Thanks for listening.